All right, so let's see here. All right, so hi. So welcome to my channel. My name is Jose. Um, Today I'm going to be reading for, sorry, 1 second here. All right, so it's going to be back and forth between two cameras. Um, Basically what I'm going to do for today's reading is technically wanted to do this days before, but, you know, life happens. Um, and I wanted to do reading for Leo. This is actually tomorrow for November 11th, 2025. This is when the moon will be conjunct the asteroid Perdix. For those who don't know yet, I am what I'd like to just kind of call micro astrologer. You know, there's a micro astrology, there's this one. So, anyways, so this one is focused specifically on Perdix rather than the main planet, the luminary in astrology called the moon. The things I'll be saying today will be tied to that as well. For those who haven't heard of Perdix, Perdix was a character in mythology where he was very bright. He was very knowledgeable things. He just had this sort of, what do you call this, technical acumen, if that makes sense. He was very, he was very pretty much smart. Okay. He was also under the care of his uncle or something like that. So he was like the very high achieving person, the grade A student. So basically, Perdix is going to represent those kind of things. Very scientific, like curious people, scientific individuals, putting two and two together, those kind of things, creating logic and logical creativity. So he's very creative, but it's also through that. He's also about ingenuity, gumption, okay, brilliance, okay, inventiveness, shrewdness as well. Very talented, adroit, okay, astute, very intuitive, innovative, and all that stuff. So basically, he also had like a backbone. He was basically taking risks or technical risks, if that makes any sense. He was very careful of things, but he was also careful not to make mistakes. So in this regard, people might be feeling like they're kind of making mistakes. It's in Leo, this is whole Leo is very careful about its appearance and how it appears to others. They want to give you their best. I can speak from experience. That's how it is. I've met a lot of Leos. I am currently dating one. um, and very, very much like that. And that's fine. That's how it is. You see, so. But with this placement in Leo, I'll actually share the chart right now so to see what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. You can see that the moon will be actually square Venus. Okay, so actually Perdix is square Venus. Actually, it's more about the moon. It's squaring Venus. It's actually what you call exiting, what you call it, not applying. It's leaving that sign, so it's not as effective. Not as effective. It's not that much of an effect. When the moon goes further into later in the later day, so maybe on the 12th, it will be most likely square the sun. There's going to be a lot of issues with, being careful, with the government, with people. People might feel, but this is a flow of the moon, so it means that it's going to be pride will be affected by you'll be affected by pride. So if the moon is in Leo, that means that you look at where the sun is. The sun is in Scorpio. So this applies to exactly what Perdix is all about: being kind of careful, being resourceful as well, having a backbone as well, very brave, technical risk. That's a very Scorpio. Um, but also kind of being imaginative and creative. That's a very Leo thing. Now, if we look at the opposite of where Perdix is right now, or will be, or the moon, it'll be opposite Pluto. And Pluto is in Aquarius. So that explains the whole shrewdness behind technicalities, if that makes sense, being technical, technological things. Okay. Also being resourceful means like building from scraps. So that means, there's all that stuff that's happening with what was this one? People are becoming more also resourceful because the Pluto placement in Aquarius. You'll see this everywhere now. People are just becoming more resourceful, tenacious. They're learning about their tenacity, their individuality, which is totally makes sense for if with the moon here opposite of Pluto, that totally makes sense. Earlier on, Perdix was opposite of Pluto. It's kind of exited away from that. Um, let's see here. When Pluto, when the moon goes into conjunct with the south node, it'll get a little bit more technical. People will feel like that, but that's for Virgo. Um, let's see here. There are others who will also test you. Okay, there will be healthy competitions, or maybe not. Maybe there will be fear behind that as well. There will be pride or jealousy. That totally makes sense. Okay, push to the edge or edge of glory. It's like Lady Gaga's song, "End of Glory," but in this case, it's Edge of Glory. So, okay, close calls. Okay, abilities that invoke shadow in others. So that means that people might be jealous. It's kind of like Arachne, the asteroid Arachne. She was just like that. She basically was so good at everything. She knew how things were connected. She's pretty much like that. Um, there might be also rejection by society, banishments, exile, instead of rejection, evictions, okay, because this is tied to the moon. I don't know if you'll be eviction notices, okay. People might be relegated to certain places, isolation, sequestering, ostracism, okay. But this is a sign that with the placement in Leo, the time for, especially if you have this external thing, it's expect it's a trigger for you to embrace your own uniqueness, your keen eye for detail, okay, innovativeness, your creativeness, following your heart, okay, trusting the universe, and using that through technology. Okay. So maybe you want to do something artistic, or maybe not necessarily artistic, maybe something like with woodwork or engineering, metalwork, carpentry, clockmaking, pottery. It's not necessarily artistic per se, but can be. Most of it is mechanical, so it's called mechanical arts. Okay, so or just with science, if you're into science, technology, engineering, like I said before, anything technical. Imitations as well. Don't take that lightly. It's a good skill. You imitate, you copy. That's what we're here for. That's what we learn, right? We're going with we mimic each other, like you mimic our parents. That's how we adopted certain personalities. That's what we're here for. We've already known here that before we even were born. Okay, so that's part of the process. Um, Tools for cutting, so anything sort of that kind of stuff. Copycatting, copies, replication, that might be it. Similar to the asteroid Osiris as well, which will probably for another time. Okay, incisions or something like that. If it's more with the physical stuff, especially for Leo right now, or any of the fixed signs, so Scorpio, Taurus, and Aquarius. So watch out for those things. Like you might sort of like get, I don't know, cuts. You might get bruises or sharp cuts or something like that. Watch out for those kind of things. Watch out for falling. Don't make sure you kind of find your balance, be in the present moment. Other things that might be triggers for certain people with regards to mechanical arts is clay work. So claymation, um, those kind of things. Anything to do with not necessarily sharpening, could also be like sharpening your skills. Any sort of skills you already have, it could be also sharpening that, honing your skills. Okay. So this has a lot to do with any of the mechanical arts, including pottery and clay work, claymation. Okay. Iron as well, part of this one. So watch out for your spine, your backbone, jaws, scars, any wounds like bruises, marks. Okay. You might be interested in, I don't know, something to do with related to high places, towers. Um, if this kind of triggers you, it might be anything to do with flightless birds. Okay, that's part of this one. Anywhere hedges are located, shrubberies, bushes, thickets, fences, trail, there, those kind of stuff. Don't be afraid to try anything new, right? Just, go for that. Souvenirs, mementos, and those kind of things, tokens, trophies might be something that people might want to get into, but you don't need them. I mean, there's symbolism for things like that. It's just not necessary. But anyways, that's it for the reading. Thank you for coming to my channel. Those who saw this, thank you. See you later. Bye.